Israel-Palestine conflict. Ignore dirty politics and do upload the humanity. The process of building a Jewish state in Palestine under the umbrella of the West was deliberate, violent, and a blueprint for state formation. By 1948, more than 80% of Palestinians had become overnight refugees. Both Israel and Palestine are holy sites for Jews, Christians, and Muslims, most notably the Dome of the Rock Shrine, the historic Western Wall, the Alaska Mosque, and the Church of the Holy Sculpture. The ultimate reflection of the ethnic destruction of the Palestinian movement is mainly the increase in the number of refugees and Jewish descendants. The Israelis established their system of government through illegal means, systematic advantages, population, political advantage, and land grabbing. The divine truth is that from the Ottoman period to the Egyptian pharaoh and subsequent by Hitler's Holocaust,
هذه نكبة ما إلهاش مثيل طلعونا برا.
And the Nazis did it. And now they are doing it for us.
We want the Palestinians to accept this is our land, this is our country, this is our city.
The primary goal of the Israel-Zionist conflict was to establish a colony occupying Greater Palestine and the Arab territories. The root of this issue is Zionism, a racist political ideology that gave birth to the State of Israel by legitimizing a sheltered colonial project in Greater Palestine. That was continued to expand beyond repair West Bank and Jerusalem. "70 years of occupation and coercive strategies on the ground built by an irrational legal framework and have created a modern state of apartheid and human indignity in Palestine." The subsequent geographical and demographic conflict are the main reasons for the Israel-Palestine conflict. The Balfour Declaration of 1917, the Jewish occupation of 22% of the West Bank of Palestine in 1948, the renewed invasion of the West Bank of Palestine and the Gaza Strip in 1967 brought the whole of Palestine under Jewish control. By 2022, the Israeli government set to approve 4,000 shelter units in occupied West Bank. Some 700,000 Jewish shelters live in at least 250 illegal settlements in the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem.
The Palestinian Prime Minister denounced what he called aggression. Such incursions have become increasingly common. Imran Khan reports from occupied East Jerusalem.
We as Hamas, we are not hesitate to use any means in order to stop and to deter the extremists from doing these big mistakes against our people and our Palestinians in the Al-Aqsa Mosque or in Jerusalem. We think that Israel is doing now a big catastrophe in this region.
Last year, the market terrorist explosions in Palestine
For Israelis to fly the flag anywhere in Israel, in Jerusalem or East Jerusalem, it makes a statement. Israeli sovereignty is demonstrated there by the Israeli army, the Israeli police that is there and is deciding who can march, where can they march, what flag can be flown by which people. And that's going to be a boiling point.
in areas outside.
The first Jewish land acquisition process began in 1755, in the time of the Sir Moses Montefiore and Sultan Abdulmajid, through which an initial prediction of a complete picture of the Jewish infiltration and population in Palestine was published. The rise of the Nazi movement in Germany, the growing persecution of Jews, the economic crisis in Europe, and the strict economic sanctions imposed on Jews were the main reasons for the influx of Jewish immigrants. The formation of its own Jewish state, its own flag, and the qualification for membership of the United Nations were the main goals and ideals of the Jews. The Zionist gang carried out terrorist activities in Palestine under the umbrella of the then Prime Minister of Israel, Ariel Sharon, and established large-scale immigration of Jews to Palestine. The study of the geography and population of this eternal and unresolved Israeli-Palestinian results is crucial. The process of forcible eviction of the Palestinian people and the replacement of Jews is contrary to population policy. The necessity of a just solution to this historic demographic conflict through the proper disclosure of Judaism scandals and military exercises by inviting geographers, demographers, and socialists is absolutely essential.
Gaza's punishment continues. More airstrikes at dawn. Israel says this is not over. It doesn't just want the rockets to stop, it wants its opponent crippled. It's been hitting the homes of Hamas leaders. But international outrage is building over the civilian cost. Almost 40,000 people have been displaced. The territory's only COVID testing lab partially destroyed. Kamal Hazala says he got a call from the Israeli army telling him to get out of his home. The house next door was bombed. When he and his family returned, this is what they found. The UN is heavily involved. Its envoy in Jerusalem, one of few officials actually talking to Hamas. With pressure mounting on Israel, its window of opportunity in Gaza is slowly closing.
The criminal activities of the illegal Zionist Jews have crippled millions of Palestinians in body and soul. It was just a picture of the West's progress in the technology of killing innocent Palestinians. Despite the pressure of ultimate civil rights, the Israeli government has not stopped its aggressive stance. We see visual evidence of this through the assassination of Shireen Abu Akleh.
Wounded in the back but is in stable condition. أنا أصبت بالظهر والزميل الرصاصة الثانية أصابت شيرين وأدى إلى استشهادها. ما كانش عندنا أي مسلحين وإحنا مش ممكن نعرض حياتنا للخطر ولا ممكن إن نقول الرواية الحقيقية. جيش الاحتلال كاذب ومجرم وحقير.
An innocent female journalist working for Al Jazeera, and the Israeli government is proved again to be nothing more than an authoritarian and Zionist government. The Israeli government's main object was to conceal the truth, and it ended with this assassination. It is only by the unacceptable Israeli rights that it has darkened the worldview of humanity. It has crippled humanity over and over. The rise of Nazism began after Germany's humiliating defeat in World War I. Only 20 years later, Nazism played a significant role in World War II. Hitler's ideological goals included territorial expansion, the unification of an ethnically pure state, and the extermination of European Jews. In the eyes of the present world, the world-class Westerners denying the non-violent truth. The truth of the extermination of the Jews is irrationally on the innocent Palestinians, the truth of which has never been presented.
In 1948, the State of Israel was proclaimed. Palestine was lost. Made up of different factions, the PLO has been at the heart of the struggle to regain Palestine ever since.
That His Majesty's government have determined to base their policy on the assumption that they must lay down the mandate.
Britain handed over Palestine to the United Nations. In 1947, the UN General Assembly decided to partition Palestine into two states, one Arab, the other Jewish. This partition plan was rejected by Palestinians and neighboring Arab states.
تعليم كنت أدرس واجتمعنا إحنا الطلاب الفلسطينيين في الشبان المسلمين.
I left school. We gathered at the Young Muslims Association and we decided that whoever wanted to fight would have to burn their books. I was among those who burned their books and went and joined the army of Holy Struggle.
في الكويت سميناها فتح.
It was in Kuwait that we named it Fatah, but before that it was a continuation of our Palestinian nationalistic activities.
كان المفروض أن ننطلق في 64.
We were supposed to launch in 1964 before the Palestine National Council meeting in Jerusalem. I was there in Jerusalem but didn't attend the meeting. I was preparing to launch military operations as a gift to the PNC, but we decided against it because we thought it might be perceived as an attempt to upstage the council meeting and its resolutions.
قلت لهم شيء. إحنا كأمة عربية.
The Jordanian chief of staff and the commander of the Iraqi forces tried to convince me to withdraw from Karama.
خلينا نصبر فيها. خلينا نستشهد فيها.
I told them after the defeat of 1967 we took an oath to fight to the very end, and even if it meant martyrdom.
Yasser Arafat, the chairman of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, supreme leader of the Palestinian Revolution, leader of the national struggle, a sincere and dedicated defender of freedom, in favor of justice and peace, anti-colonial, anti-imperialist, anti-racist, and anti-Zionist leader, said in 1974 in UN Assembly that I am bearing an olive branch in one and a freedom fighter's gun in other, but did not let the olive branch fall from my hand at any cost, which he meant We will never bow down our head to lies, but we'll always be ready to defend our motherland. Western Zionism is crushed. Massive immigration during genocidal war in Europe under the umbrella of British colony built a refuge for persecuted people, especially the Nazi Holocaust time, in a place where another people live already. The unarmed innocent Palestinian to the historic Palestine. Obviously, that interrupted basic rights of entire Palestinian citizens, and as a result, newly formed Israeli government occupied 78% of historic Palestine. Millions of Palestinians were fled or expelled or fighting to recapture their motherland at any cost, where the new state now should be stood. It is nothing but a institutional discrimination that how the Israeli government took away. We are the people, and this is our time. Stand up, sing out for Palestine. Basic rights such as freedom of speech, considered as a second-class citizen, simple privileges, and top of that, no right to vote. His talk are good if real, but not in a deadly way of land grabbing. People are for people. Life is for life. These Palestinian people deserve basic rights as a human being.
The people of Palestine has been suffering for the last 7.5 decades as a result of the occupation to their land. As a result, they were driven out of their countries and became refugees. And since then, either refugees or under occupation. And in both cases, it is difficult. It's inhumane. Unfortunately, our enemy does not recognize us as a people or as a human being. Doesn't recognize anyone as a human except themselves. And they have strong support by the Western world. The world which is supposed to protect democracy, supposed to protect human rights. But when it comes to Palestine, they don't exist. They are vanished. They are not there to help us. So most of the time we have to depend on ourselves. That's why we have to suffer. We have to pay a heavy price. Our children have to pay a heavy price. Our father has before they did pay a heavy price. And we are paying a heavy price. But there's one issue for everybody to understand, that the people of Palestine will never ever give up the struggle until they achieve their goal. The goal of independence, the goal to have their own state with Jerusalem. I insist on that, with Jerusalem as the capital of Palestine. Less than that, we will never accept. We wanted to live like you, a human being with dignity, with country, with statehood, with a passport, with identity, a proper life, a future for our children. That's what we ask for. We don't want more than living in honor and dignity. And that is our aim. And for that we have paid a heavy price. And I believe we continue to pay a heavy price until we achieve this desire.
There is one issue which is really important. I wanted to greet and thank my dear friend, Mr. Hassan, who did a tremendous work since over 9 months or even 1 year. He's been working for 1 year hard in order to make this documentary a successful piece of work. And he worked very hard for that. I wanted to thank you, and I think my people, the people of Palestine, also wanted to thank him for his tremendous work. And I sincerely wish him a great success.